Greg is 42 years old, lives in North Carolina, works hard, saves money every month. He owns 11 ETFs, 2 mutual funds, and a target date fund his employer picked for him. Greg thinks he's diversified. He thinks he's doing everything right. But last year, his portfolio returned 6.8%. The S&P 500 returned over 14%. That gap didn't happen because Greg is careless. It happened because Greg is overcomplicated. And he's not alone. Here's a number that should stop you in your tracks. According to the SPIVA scorecard, 92% of actively managed funds underperformed the S&P 500 over the last 20 years. 92%. That means almost every expert strategy, every fancy fund, every hand-picked portfolio lost to a simple index. The problem isn't that people don't invest. The problem is they build portfolios with too many moving parts, too many overlapping funds, too many fees hiding in the fine print. And all of that noise quietly bleeds 1 to 2% off your returns every single year. That sounds small, but over 20 or 30 years, it's the difference between retiring on your terms and working 5 more years. But here's the good news. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly 3 ETFs that cover everything you need. You'll see the real math behind investing just $10 a day, and you'll have a step-by-step plan you can start today. And the third ETF, the one almost nobody talks about, might matter more right now in 2026 than it has in the last 15 years. Quick note, I'm not a financial advisor or government employee. Everything here is for educational purposes only. For your specific situation, always check with a qualified professional. So what's the first ETF, the one that does the heaviest lifting? Let me show you. Step 1, the growth engine. Every strong portfolio starts with a core, something that captures the full power of the American economy. Not one company, not one sector, the whole thing. That's VOO, the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. When you buy one share of VOO, you instantly own a piece of 507 of the biggest companies in America. Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, Alphabet, all of them in one fund with one click. And here's what makes VOO special. It costs almost nothing. The expense ratio is just 0.03%. That means for every $10,000 you invest, you pay just $3 a year in fees. Compare that to the average mutual fund charging 0.5 to 1% or more. Now let's talk performance. The S&P 500 has averaged about 10.1% per year over the last 30 years. Not in a straight line. There were crashes, there were corrections, but over time it climbed. If you put $300 a month into VOO, that's $10 a day, and you earned 10% annually, after 30 years, you'd have roughly $678,000. Not because you picked the right stock at the right time, because you bought the economy and let time do the work. Most people chase the next hot stock. Smart investors buy the entire market. That's what VOO does. It's your growth engine, the foundation everything else is built on. If you skip this step, you're either too concentrated in one sector or too scattered across too many funds. Either way, you're leaving money on the table. But growth alone won't pay your bills in retirement. That's where the second ETF comes in, and this is the one that actually sends you a check. Step 2, the income engine. Let me introduce you to SCHD, the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF. If VOO is your growth engine, SCHD is your income engine. It holds about 103 companies, names like Texas Instruments, Coca-Cola, Merck, and United Health. These are businesses that don't just make money, they share it with you every single quarter. Right now, SCHD pays a yield of about 3.4 to 3.2%. That's solid, but here's the part most people miss. The yield isn't the magic, the growth is. Over the last 10 years, SCHD has raised its dividend payouts by about 11.5% per year. Think about that. Every year, the income you earn gets a raise without you doing anything extra. Let me make this real. Lisa is 47, lives in Ohio. 5 years ago, she started putting $300 a month into SCHD. She didn't try to time the market, she didn't watch the news and panic, she just kept investing. Today, her annual dividend income from SCHD alone is over $1,800, and it's growing every year. She didn't get lucky, she got consistent. Now, here's a myth I hear all the time. Bonds are the safe income play. Here's the truth. BND, the Vanguard Total Bond Market ETF, one of the biggest bond funds in the world, returned roughly 0.3% total over the last 5 years. Not per year, total over 5 years. Meanwhile, inflation over that same period ate over 20% of your purchasing power. So if you had $100,000 in bonds 5 years ago, you technically have about $100,300 today, but in real spending power, you lost money. SCHD over that same period returned over 11% per year with a growing income stream. Now, I want to be fair. Bonds aren't useless. When stocks crash hard, bonds can cushion the fall. If you're already retired and need that crash insurance, keeping some bonds makes sense. But if you're 35, 40, 45 and still building wealth, SCHD does the income job better, and it grows while doing it. Before I show you the third ETF, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment right now. Are you currently holding any bond funds in your portfolio, or have you already moved to dividend ETFs? I read every single comment. So, you've got growth with VOO, you've got rising income with SCHD, but there's one blind spot left, and in 2026, ignoring it might actually cost you money. Step 3. The Global Shield. For the last 15 years, everyone said the same thing: just buy America. International stocks don't keep up. And honestly, they were right for a while. But here's what's changing, and this is something most investors haven't caught yet. The third ETF is VXUS, the Vanguard Total International Stock ETF. One share of VXUS gives you access to over 8,800 companies across more than 40 countries. Companies like TSMC, Samsung, ASML, and Tencent, all for an expense ratio of just 0.05%. And here's the number that might surprise you. VXUS is outperforming the S&P 500 year-to-date in 2026. After more than a decade of U.S. dominance, the tide is starting to shift. Vanguard's 2026 economic outlook backs this up. They project international stocks returning 4.9 to 6.9% per year over the next decade. For U.S. stocks, just 4 to 5%. The reason? U.S. mega-cap tech is historically expensive. The CAPE ratio is sitting around 37. That's in the top 10% of valuations since 1988. That doesn't mean the U.S. market is doomed. It means the easy gains from the last decade may not repeat the same way. Smart investors don't bet on what already happened. They position for what's coming. And that's exactly what VXUS does. It spreads your risk beyond one economy. If U.S. tech corrects, and at these valuations, history says it eventually does, VXUS is your pressure valve. Now, you don't need a huge allocation here. Even 20% of your portfolio in VXUS gives you meaningful protection. So now you know the 3 ETFs, VOO for growth, SCHD for income, VXUS for global protection. But here's the question everyone asks: how much goes into each one? The answer depends on where you are in life. The allocation blueprint. There's no single perfect split, but there are smart starting points based on your age and goals. Here are 3 templates. Template 1. If you're under 40, go growth first. Put 60% in VOO, 20% in SCHD, and 20% in VXUS. You have decades of compounding ahead. Let the growth engine run. Template 2. If you're between 40 and 50, go balanced. Put 50% in VOO, 30% in SCHD, and 20% in VXUS. You're building growth and rising income at the same time. Template 3. If you're over 50, tilt toward income. Put 40% in VOO, 40% in SCHD, and 20% in VXUS. More of your portfolio is now paying you, and those payments are growing. Now let's talk about the real math, because I want to be straight with you. $10 a day is $300 a month. At an 8% average annual return, which is a conservative estimate based on history, that grows to roughly $447,000 in 30 years. At 10%, closer to the historical average of the S&P 500, you're looking at closer to $678,000. To push past $900,000, you either need a few more years of compounding or you bump your savings to about $400 a month. Either way, that is life-changing money built from one small daily habit. And here's what makes this even more powerful. Once that portfolio reaches $600,000 with a blended dividend yield of around 2.5 to 3%, you're earning $15,000 to $18,000 a year in dividends. That's money showing up in your account without you selling a single share. You don't need 30 ETFs. You need 3 that work and the discipline to leave them alone. That's the whole system. 3 funds, 1 habit, and the patience to let compounding do what compounding does. Now let me show you how to set this up. Today, not next month, today. Your 10-minute action plan. Here's your plan. 4 steps. Each one takes less than 10 minutes. Step 1, open a brokerage account. Fidelity, Schwab, or Vanguard all work. No minimum accounts, no trading commissions. You can do this from your phone tonight.
Step 2, set up automatic investing. $10 a day, $300 a month, whatever your brokerage calls it, auto invest or recurring purchase, turn it on and forget it. Step 3, split your contributions across VOO, SCHD, and VXUS using whichever allocation template fits your age. Step 4, once a year, rebalance. Open your account, check if your percentages have drifted, and move things back to your target split. One afternoon, once a year, that's it. Now, remember Greg from the beginning? 42 years old, 11 funds, 2 mutual funds, a target date fund he didn't even choose. Imagine he finds this video today. He consolidates everything into 3 ETFs. He starts his $10 a day. At age 67, even at a conservative 8%, he's sitting on roughly $285,000 he didn't have before, plus growing dividend income every quarter. Not because he got lucky, not because he found some secret formula, because he got simple. The most powerful investing strategy in the world isn't complicated. It's the one you actually stick with. And this 3 ETFs portfolio is built to be stuck with. Low cost, low maintenance, high discipline. If someone you care about is overcomplicating their portfolio or still sitting on the sidelines waiting for the right time, send them this video right now. It could change their trajectory. Tell me in the comments which of the 3 allocation templates fits where you are right now: growth, balanced, or income. I want to know. If you're serious about building income from your investments and want to stay ahead of changes like this, subscribe to this channel. I break down everything that protects and grows your money. And if you want to see exactly how SCHD stacks up against its biggest rival in 2026, that video is coming next.